Welcome, true believers. Seanorama, SeanGeek Podcast. I got a special guest here today. That'd be
me.
That'd be you.
Yo, bro. Todd.
Todd is the bass player in our band Dome. He's also some guy I write a lot of music with. All around cool guy. My favorite dad in the world. What else? I don't know. What else do you do?
You're asking me?
What else am I awesome at? So this is the opening episode of Season 4. Season 4, I said I was going to make some changes. Going to not be so much on the road anymore. There will be some on the road episodes, but I want to have more involvement of this good-looking gentleman.
Can you see me?
Isn't he handsome? So the first episode I want to talk about is one I wanted to talk about for a while, but I wanted to have someone else on here so it's not just me. So today's topic we're going to talk about is multitasking. So it's a buzzword in business. It's a buzzword in any sort of work environment, and it's lauded as one of the great accomplishments you can have as a worker, to be able to multitask. So I'm taking that...
I call bullshit.
Yeah. We're taking that to task today because I actually disagree with that statement. And I think Todd disagrees.
Oh, yes, I totally disagree with it. The way that... just the way things have gone, where you had a job to do, that was your job. And then as people seem to retire, they keep taking their jobs and amalgamating it into other jobs, and then they call it multitasking, or whatever word you want to use, but basically it's just more work. That's all it is. Just more, yeah.
It's a fancy word for more work.
You got 8 hours to do work, and we've just doubled your workload.
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what I think. I agree with you for sure. And I agree that a certain level of multitasking you should be able to do. But multitasking, the word has been abused, and now it's just rolled into people's job assignments to basically say, look, I need you to do more. Do it. So, but personally, the issue I have with multitasking is the more you multitask, the less quality output you have.
True. You're not focusing on one item anymore.
Nope. And focusing on 2 or 3 items is not even good enough anymore. You have to be juggling about 10 items to multitask. And I think it's impossible to have quality when the more you multitask, the less quality you're going to have. But why do we need to multitask? Why is it so important? And you gave me a theory the other day on the phone that I would like you to expand upon.
Okay, which was what was it at the time? I've got a lot of rants with this multitasking, because we're going through something at work right now that's kind of kind of POs me a bit. But what was it exactly? What was the word?
Well, you had said it was something along the lines of...
Was it the rewards?
Well, no. It was, if you're multitasking because someone else didn't do their job efficiently enough, or something along those lines. So you're multitasking because someone else created work for you. So if someone else had been more, if someone else had done their job, if someone else does their job better, you shouldn't need to multitask, or something along those lines.
No, the thing is, what I said, I believe, was when you do a good job at your job, and you try to. I mean, that's how I work anyway. I want to do the best possible job that I can do, because it satisfies myself. But the thing is the way the workplace is now is the way they reward you with the work is to give you more work, because you did such a great job. Why don't you take this on also? And a lot of people know how unions work, where you get the old, way back when it was like, well, it's not my job type thing. Nowadays, the unions, at least the one I'm in, they don't have a backbone or a leg to stand on. I mean, management seems to think that they can do whatever they want, and they can kind of circumvent it without going, through the union in the proper channels. But I think that's kind of a little different issue, but
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I guess we're not going to have a very debatable episode today.
Oh, were we supposed to be debating?
Oh, no, not at all. So, okay, so...
You picked the wrong topic.
my own history has been that every job I've been in, the position, or specifically the department, has been very, very lean in the number of people they have. So what they try to do is try to get more done with less employees, because the theory is ultimately brings costs down. So if you're able to multitask multiple items, and everyone in your department can multitask multiple items, then you can probably reduce the size of your department by, say, 30%, say. So if we can get everyone to do a little bit more, and everyone juggles a bit more, then we can do more with less.
Mm-hmm.
But they seem to think that that's a cost savings, but I would tend to disagree, because it's not so much a cost savings as it is, okay, yes, everyone is doing more work. And again, I'll go back to the quality thing, is the more you do, the less quality you have.
Yeah, if you're making a 5-course meal at home, or you can make something simple that you can really concentrate on and do it well, where you could have a lot of mediocre things. I guess that's.
Or if you're making a 5-course meal and you're making them in stages, so you're making one meal, one course,
mm-hmm.
and it's all done, and it's a cold item, right? So
all,
then you make that,
yeah.
and then you're done, and you put it in the fridge, and it's all set to go for your cold, and then you move on to the next one. So you're not multitasking; you're doing one at a time, but you did that cold dish really well. And then you do the next dish.
Mm-hmm.
The next dish is probably an appetizer. Okay, well then you get the appetizer ready, so the only thing you need to do is throw it in the oven for 20 minutes. Okay, you got that course done. Then you move on to the next course. So far, the quality of the first 2 courses are awesome, because you put everything into each course one at a time.
Right.
You're not doing multiple at the same time.
Okay, because that's what I was getting at. I see the point that you're saying, but if you were trying to do all the courses at the same time...
Yeah.
That's the multitasking.
And you're likely, in the chances of making mistakes when you multitask are proportionately larger than if you're working on a single task.
Right.
So if you're juggling, we'll say 5 tasks, will be conservative. So you're juggling 5 tasks. They're all important. One's more important than another. So your 5 tasks is super, super important. Mm-hmm. The executives are going to be looking at whatever you're putting together, or whatever report you're working on. And the 5th one is less important. It's the least important, but it still needs to be done, and they all need to be done within a certain timeline that kind of lines up together. So say you've got 3 hours to get these 5 things done. Mm-hmm. But the first one is the most important, and you're told the first one's the most important. So you're probably going to put a lot more into that first project, because there's a lot of eyes on it, whatever. So if you're multitasking, you're probably going to do better at the first task, because you know that's where the focus is. But your 5th task, it needs to be done, but no one's really watching, no one's really waiting. So even if you turn that task in late, someone might not even notice. Someone might not even care.
True.
So you're likely going to throw less elbow grease into that last one. And it's probably going to suck.
It may. But then you may find out later that part was just as important, if not more, than something you did before.
It was important to somebody else.
That's right.
So you've let that person down now. So even the way people set you up to multitask is inherently wrong, because you're putting predominance over one particular task over other tasks that, yes, they might be more important to your immediate superior, but you might be letting down a bunch of people in another department by having them focus your attention in a particular way,
right,
in the order of how you're going to get things done, or how much more effort you're going to put into one over the other. So what I was thinking, and I think multitasking applies to everything. So let's go back to geek territory here, because This is a geek podcast after all. Okay. So the news this week came out that Ben Affleck played Batman in a movie, right?
Already, that's right? Yep.
And based upon his performance, it was probably was one of the rising stars of the movie that he was in. Even though the movie was panned, a lot of people said, yeah, but Ben Affleck was actually good as Batman, though. So they're like, okay, let's give Ben Affleck his own Batman movie. All right, he's gonna write, direct, produce, and star.
Wow.
Now that's the ultimate form of multitasking right there.
Yeah.
Now his comment that he made was that he was working on it, and it was a lot of work, and he was trying to, he's trying to get the script written and trying to, kind of do pre-production stuff, and he was working through, and then, another writer came in to kind of help him out because he was doing it on his own, but they brought another writer in, and then, the script was coming along, but it was coming along slow, quote unquote slow, because someone wants it done by a certain time.
Right.
Because someone's asking him to multitask all this shit.
Right.
So then eventually he turns the script in, which, according to studio executives, was lackluster.
And that's why he drinks.
And that's exactly. And that's why we drink.
And that's
But I think, so there's an example from a geek perspective that you can't take on too many hats because you're not going to put out a quality product.
Even a juggler can only juggle so many balls.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying you can't multitask. I guess the devil's advocate side is, there's always going to be multitasking in your job, but...
If you're comfortable with it.
Well, I don't even think that's good, because I think you're still hurting quality at the end. The more you juggle, the higher the risk that you're going to drop one of those balls you're juggling.
Right. There's a breaking point.
So if you're juggling 2 balls or 3 balls and you're a professional juggler, okay, well, great. But if you're juggling 8 balls, or one of those balls is a chainsaw.
Yes.
And we're often juggling chainsaws and swords and balls.
Yeah, and you can do it. And that's fine. But he's not going to do it all day. Eventually, something's going to happen.
But eventually, but I guess what I'm saying is you're juggling chainsaws and swords. There is no room for error.
No. But eventually there will be an error.
Eventually there will be. So you have to have quality. So you notice when people juggle chainsaws and swords, they're juggling 3 of those. Generally, I think. Isn't that the rule?
I don't know if there's 3. I know.
But you're not going to see a guy juggling 5 balls and 3 chainsaws.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
You'll see somebody juggling 8 balls, though.
Yes.
But if he drops it, he gets booed,
right.
But he's still alive.
Yeah. I mean, even juggling 3 or 4 balls, you can't do it for 8 hours a day.
No.
Yeah.
Short spurts.
Yeah.
But I think the mentality now in our society is that, well, you need to maintain, it's important to multitask, and you should be multitasking all the time. It's just a skill you need to use and learn to use. But I really think the reason that we need to multitask so much nowadays is because people are trying to save money, and they are trying to cut corners, and they think it saves money to have you and me juggling 8 or 10 things at a time. But I don't think I'd like to work at the dollars and cents of doing it, because the minute you drop one of those 8 balls, you get crapped on.
Right. But now the industry that you're in, can we talk about that, or?
A little bit.
Okay, we'll just brush on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so in your line of work, do you have a lot of multitasking?
Everything is multitasking.
Everything is multitasking. Okay, so right now with me, I'm in the healthcare industry, and of course, there is no money in healthcare, right?
Yes.
And it's going down as we speak. So everything gets compounded, and it's not just multitasking. They also add the workload, not just the multitasking itself, but more of it. So it just kind of compounds itself. And there's no one really winning. Yeah, I mean, everything looks good on paper. Like a lot of times, 9 out of 10 times when people do crap that doesn't work is usually something that looks good on paper, but in actuality, no, it ain't gonna work. And they usually find out, and usually upper management, they usually don't do anything about it, because either they don't hear about it because the people that are doing it either want to try, not impress them, but try to get their job done, without complaining. But there's a point where you have to kind of speak up and say something, and not get reprimanded for it either. But I don't think that happens very often.
Yeah, but yours is there's potential life-threatening situations there because of your field.
Yeah, I mean, indirectly, what I do doesn't directly affect the patients. I mean, it does, but not in a life. I mean,
life or death situation.
No, not usually. Not usually.
Wow.
Not in mine, but I mean, it's still there. I mean, the people retire, and then they expect other people to take on more load and add more things to their jobs. So
See, in mine, it's dollars and cents, and if you're out $50 somewhere, it's a big deal.
Yeah, we don't deal with dollar and cents.
Yeah, I do.
It's all internal.
And it's always, but I will say the positive thing on mine is every fact needs to be checked multiple times. So the biggest thing in my job is that I don't get stuff done on time.
Right.
And I'm taking more of the leaning of I'd rather do it right and be late than have it done wrong and be on time. Because 9 out of 10 times, if I need to meet a timeline, and I think if I know I can meet it, then I'm going to meet it. But if I don't think I can meet it in the timeline they've prescribed, then I say I can't do it unless things are taken off my plate. So I'm not dissing my job at all, because actually at my job I can actually raise my hand and go, you know what? If you want this done at that level by such a time, we have to do something to make sure that my plate is even.
Right.
So for example, just covering for vacation time, like that's what we do is, well, you know what? There's certain tasks that have to be done every day, and they have to be done every day. Right. There's other tasks that have to be done, but priority-wise, we can drop them way down on the list, and then we just have to get to them after. They have to be done eventually, but we get to them after. But most jobs don't work like that. They just expect you to put the time in and get it done. Because the thing is, in a lot of positions, is they multitask you. It almost feels like it's a test. You stayed late, and you get that stuff done. Oh. So you stayed late of your own accord, so I don't have to pay you that overtime. So I'm keeping my costs down.
Did they give you a medal? Badge or anything?
Well, no, in positions I've been in before, they just give you crap if you don't get it done.
Yeah.
And in a position I was in before that will remain nameless, I actually got crap for putting overtime in. I didn't charge the company. I stayed late to get something done because it had to be done, and I got it done. I had to stay late to get it done, and when they found out I had stayed late, I got crap for staying late for not being efficient enough to get it done in the time prescribed. So it was a lose-lose situation. But if I'd have handed the stuff in incorrectly and hadn't double-checked my numbers or double-checked my figures, then I would have got crap for handing it on time, but for it being incorrect. So I think there's too much pressure nowadays that we don't have any time. We don't have enough time. We never have enough time at home, at work, everywhere.
Oh my God! Was it a pharmaceutical life now? Everybody goes to the doctor. They're stressed. Everyone gets pills. They're giving them pills. I don't think it was this bad before.
No.
I mean, you hear about stories, people working. Wow, yeah, we were playing cards till 3 a.m. What do you mean playing cards? Shouldn't you be working? There's none of that anymore.
Oh God, no.
At my work, we used to have time to go out and be part of a committee or something like that. There is no time for that.
Yeah.
Like, you want us to volunteer? When do you want us to volunteer? We only have so many hours in a day, and you've given us all this extra, load and extra different work that we never had before. But yeah. But anyways, I'm ranting. Sorry.
That's okay. It makes it entertaining and colorful.
It just gets me.
But I think it's not just our workplaces too that push this. And like I said, I'm lucky at mine that I can say, hey, you know what, this is too much. Let's, and then I actually can work together with my coworkers to kind of get through things. So I'll give them points for that. But I think in general, that's the way we view the world is, you have to, like, for example, being a parent, you got to put okay, here's the big one. Here's the big one that gets me is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because your kids were in sports and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if your kid is in a sport that they have to go to 4 or 5 times a week, that's not a hobby anymore.
Well, what do you mean as in a hobby?
Well, the extracurricular activity, just in general, it doesn't matter what level you're at. It's never just like a night or 2 a week. It's always more than that, which puts a bigger crimp on your time. So if you don't have enough time to get the things done you need to get done in your life, because there's deadlines on everything you do, and the simpler we make things, somehow the more we have to juggle, which is confounding. Like, I can't understand why. Like, we have automatic bill payment, we have debit, debit cards, credit cards. We can do everything online. Like everything's made easier for us to
convenience.
save time.
Fast, yeah.
But it's almost like there's been more added to our plates as human beings. It's like, well, you got the convenience, so we're just going to dump more on your plate.
Yeah, they can get more for less.
And that's the way our society is. Now, flipping the other side of the coin, have you seen there's a documentary called Where to Invade Next?
With Moore?
Michael Moore.
Michael Moore, so, yes, I believe I did watch that one.
So in that one, you go, now this multitasking thing, that's a North American thing, it seems, based upon watching that documentary.
I think it all stems from there, and then we just kind of take on what they do. We kind of mirror image, say the U.S., for example.
Oh, yeah.
How they do business. And then if, and of course, if there's a positive outcome, in the bottom line, then guess what? Everyone else is going to say, "Oh, what did you do? Oh, you did this. Oh, okay. Well, let's try that with our company."
Yeah, I agree. But I think the thing, so from a purely business perspective, when a company has jobs locally or within its country or whatever, and they're making widgets. I used this example a couple episodes ago.
Okay.
So someone's making widgets, and they're the best widgets. Like the quality of the widget, like the time they put into making those widgets, it's the best widget you're ever going to find. Better than a widget anywhere else. But someone comes in and makes widgets for cheaper. So then you suddenly have to have cheaper widgets. You have to find a way to make the widgets cheaper.
Right.
So the first thing they do is just reduce staff, make people do more. They try to think that the solution to making more money, like because they're not making enough money, that someone's making them at a more profitable level, is that, well, they're doing it, so we're going to have to slash our prices. How do we slash prices? Well, we're going to get rid of employees. Never management, but usually employees. You get rid of some employees, multitask the shit out of them, and we gotta beat that foreign competitor.
Well, even before the foreign competitor came in, I think what it was all businesses like our dad used to work for CN.
Yeah.
And I remember, you're younger at the time, maybe not, but we was talking about people losing jobs, but what they're doing is they're acquiring machinery. So this machinery would take over the work of the workers. And that stems from a long time ago, and to this day, they're still coming up with new machines to replace people.
Yep.
And then there's the other side of it where you're talking about going overseas, where labor is cheaper.
Yep.
So guess what? So now you're out of a job altogether. And now I think, the U.S. is trying to reverse that, but I don't know if it can be reversed. Because now, if you go back the other way, then the people that are working, say in the U.S., if they need to have a certain cost of living, they're going to have to jack the price up to the point where it's going to be so ridiculously priced.
Yep.
It's like when you're buying guitars. Like you buy a U.S. guitar, you buy a Strat or Les Paul, you're paying $2-3 grand, and you can buy one from China for like $250.
Yeah.
And the consumer, us being from here, everybody's cheap. So everyone wants a good deal. That's another side of a coin.
Well, no, that's the other side of the coin. But what I think what I'm seeing is that in another country, they've just found a way to do something that costs less. And I think the first thing everyone looks at, well, it's the labor. But I don't think it's always that, because after watching, I can't remember what company it was, but the company that made pencils, I think in Germany. The employees were happy at work. They were making pencils all day.
Right. Just regular wood pencil.
Yeah, HB,
number two
or whatever. Yeah, they just make pencils all day. They don't lay people off. They give them all kinds of vacation.
Is this current?
Currently, yeah.
Currently?
Yeah.
Okay.
They make profit. The employees are paid...
For pencil?
Well, no. They're paid in such a way that they reduce their level of stress. So the employees are going to be more... they're gonna make better. Hope you didn't hear that. It probably would have buzzed in anyway. So they basically, by treating their employees better, making sure they're paid fairly, and working them less hours and stressing them out less, they're putting out a better quality product that everyone's buying.
Yeah, and of course,
So
there's less
why
sick
are
time.
their why are their costs lower than an American company making the same pencils? I think that's what you really got to look at, because the employees are working less hours.
Right.
Boy, is that annoying! I should turn that off. Anyway, they're working less hours, but they're making better quality pencils that people are willing to buy. So what's the difference between that company and the American company? You really need to look at like where, but then you look at that company and their levels of middle, senior management, there isn't much. The employee can go talk to the president of the company. There isn't all this middle stuff.
Now, is this a smaller company? Because I mean, all small companies are fairly
Yes.
family.
No,
not
they're
family
one of the
oriented.
largest pencil manufacturers in the world, I think.
So this is like a 8 million square foot building with
Well, I don't
trees
know.
growing in the back where they have to cut them down with low pencils.
But basically, in that documentary, every company they went to, one was a company that made motorcycles, I think Ducati or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. They get tons of vacation, tons of time off. They don't work a 40-hour week. They get time off for maternity, paternity, you name it. They get time off for everything. They treat their employees well, and they pay their employees fairly.
Are they looking for refugees?
Well,
could I get refugees?
Well,
status
there was one company. There was one company that was what was it now? There was one country that was a free university. Get yourself over to our country. I can't remember where it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
was
well,
it
it's
Sweden
free.
or
Yeah, Sweden or
somewhere out
Scandinavia,
there. Yeah.
or, I don't know, somewhere over there.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go do university over here for free.
But I think didn't Russia do that or something? Or isn't that part of the
That might
communist
be,
type
yeah.
thing where they pay for education and whatnot?
Well,
Or
that's
am I-
the
or am I
okay.
totally
So
off?
that's the other thing. In other countries, so that's what this country was doing. They were looking for immigrants to come in and get free education. But in a lot of these countries, in I don't know, Sweden, Switzerland, Norway, places like that, university is free. Everyone is entitled to university.
Right.
Everyone's in not all the countries, but I think a lot of them. Everyone's entitled. Wow.
Right.
Everyone's entitled to free home care. So if you need to work, well, they give you a nanny. That's paid for through your taxes. So everyone is taxed higher in these countries, I think.
I gotta watch this documentary again.
Yeah, like it was enlightening. But then what the North American way of life looks at is, oh man, like they're underpaying their employees. But then you see this documentary and it's like, well, that's not the case. They're actually, I think they're taxed higher, but they get everything paid for. Like, you're never going to be you're poor. In certain countries, there's only so many positions in the university that are open based upon what the country needs for jobs. Well, we need 72 engineers within the next 4 years, so there's 72 positions for engineering open in university.
Right.
And they feed the economy with what the economy needs.
Yeah.
And everything's paid for.
Yeah.
So if everything's paid for, yeah, maybe their taxes are higher, but if they're paid for, they have, like, one of the countries is reducing the work day to 6 hours, because they valued that anything over 6 hours, you're you're spinning your tires a bit. You're not going to be efficient after 6 hours of work.
That's not Mexico, is it? Where they have the siesta? Or are you talking a different?
No, it was somewhere in Europe again.
Okay.
But they do have siestas in Argentina, where our dad worked.
And that's supposed to help with your
But do you remember how stress-free Dad was? When he lived in Argentina, there was no stress. He was laughing, smiling all the time. He lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah, that's
Like, him
true.
and Mom were so happy. I mean, they missed us. That was the biggest downside. But it was just... And everyone I talked to in Europe, they go to work, and then they come home. And then it's all about after work.
Then it's family stuff. There's no work. You
But
don't
they
bring
all-
work home.
But
with
they
you.
all work hard at work, but they're not working themselves to the point of exhaustion.
Right.
Like,
Well,
and that's what I think, when you're multitasking, you're working yourself to exhaustion, either physically or mentally or both.
Right.
So
but there's a lot of pride too. I mean, some of the other countries, the people in the countries like I know Portugal, they're very proud people and they work very hard.
Oh yes, they do.
So I mean, every country has their own mentality too. Like the U.S. is like time is money. It's got nothing to do with they try and throw family in there, but it's just kind of an afterthought.
Yes. But yeah, so in this documentary, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think how North America views the economy and what makes a company profitable is exactly correct. So the whole going back to the multitasking thing, that's what we view in our society. Well, you know what? We need to cut corners as much as we can. You can still get quality if you're really good at multitasking, which I disagree with. You can multitask to a certain extent, but you can't multitask that much to the point that you're hurting the quality. There's got to be limits. We should be able to work, and then as soon as we're done, go home and relax and enjoy our family, and actually look forward to going to work the next day, because you're not going to be stressed out. You're going to be working for a company that reinvests back into you by giving you the time off, by all these things. I think the multitasking thing I don't think it's productive.
No.
And now in short stints, yes, I can understand things get busy, you got to multitask, but I think it should be the exception and not the rule. And in most companies, it's the rule. And if you can't multitask, well then you're not good at your job.
Yeah, like you were saying with adding more work to your job with these companies. I think it all stems right from the get-go, like right from the beginning. Because usually when there's cuts to a company, who gets cut? Is it management that gets cut?
No.
Who's the one who makes the decisions? Management usually makes the decision on
agree.
who stays and who goes. So
that's where most of your money goes, is to pay the managers.
Exactly. They're not going to cut themselves. It's like the government. They give themselves a raise, and then right after they do it, they go, you know what, guys? No more raises. What do you mean no more raises? You just gave yourself a raise. Now you're going to say you're not going to give any more raises?
That's so true.
How does that work? Who's watching the watchdog? That's what I want to know. But that's a whole other show.
We might have to go to that show. We might have to do that show.
Yeah. So it's.
So so listeners, where do you guys stand on multitasking? Do you think the multitasking thing is obsolete? Does it matter? Should we all have to do it 8 to 10 hours of our day every day? Do we need to juggle 10 balls a day in order to be productive? And are we not productive people? Are we not productive people because we can't multitask 8 balls at a time?
Well,
that's my question.
Yeah. Because there's this. The majority is the stress, because now you're trying to multitask, and the more that you're multitasking, you get more stressed, and then you end up going, like I said, it's a pharmaceutical life now. You go to the doctor, they prescribe pills, and that's the way people deal with it. Like I know, like mental illness is nothing, is nothing to, what am I looking for? Is out there and is true, and I don't, I can't get my words out. Those are actual issues. But these things of multitasking with everyday people, just everybody in general, are just multitask to the point to where they're not as productive. But they're productive, but they're not. The quality is not there anymore.
Yeah.
You can't take pride in your work as much as you used to be able to.
I think that hits the nail on the head, because you want our old mentality is that you want to work your butt off, and then you can't take that pride in your work that you used to, because you can't put the level of quality in that society requires of you. It's all about quantity over quality now.
Right. Do more.
Can you do this well? Well, no, I'd like to do it really well. Well, you got to get all this done, so you have to do everything well.
Right.
Well, I'd like to do everything really well. Like, why is that not okay? Like, why can't we do everything really well?
Well, you used to be able to when you had a task to do.
Exactly. So, and go back to the music side of things. So if you were playing bass, and we want to do to multitask in the band, right? So you're playing bass.
And tambourine.
Yeah. If you're, oh man.
I have a hard time talking and playing at the same time, let alone trying to sing or anything like that.
Yeah, but like when if you're drumming, singers suck.
Well, you do.
Generally, I know,
Yeah.
and I was never good at either one when doing both at the same time.
Well, I think you did fairly well, but I mean,
But
it was
if I wanted to be a really good drummer, I'm not going to sing. If I want to be a really good singer, I'm not going to drum. If I want to be pretty good at both, then I'll play both together, but the quality drops.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
All right, well, we're getting binged and binged and binged because we're outside the jam space, so
Oh.
we're going. That's exactly what that is. Come on in, guys. So we're going to sign off here. This is episode 1, season 4.
Season 4.
Season 4. So we're going to do more of these, so we'll chat with you guys soon. Live long and be prosper. I don't know.
Later.
Don't let yourself get stressed out by your job. That's all I got to say. All right. Peace out, brothers.
Later.